Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. We're talking with a gentleman who got into real estate in 1997 after his son was born because he wanted to give his son a life full of abundance. That abundance, however, didn't come automatically. In fact, he struggled. And that struggle is what continues to drive him. Today, Chadi Bazzi teaches real estate agents the action steps on how to build an unstoppable mindset, have a consistent flow of leads, and the mastery of closing and handling objections so they can create a business by design and a life of abundance. His podcast, Top Listing Agent Show, is the leading real estate podcast on iTunes with over 20,000 downloads per month. Welcome to Be Bold Branding, Chadi.
It's an honor to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to just giving as much value as I possibly can today. Because at the end of the day, it's leaving people with an emotion that gets them to believe in themselves, gets them to believe that it's okay to go through the struggle because there's light on the other side. I just want to give everybody that light of belief.
I think this is why we're so drawn to what you teach, Chadi, because from the beginning of BrandFace, we've said we want to help people unveil their inner star. And that's really what it's all about, is finding that goodness within you and sharing it with people, right? Because not only does it help the people you're sharing it with, but it also helps you.
And that's exactly what it's all about. And the more that you're able to share with freedom, I think one of the things that I want to begin to talk about, I know you got, a bunch of questions for me, but, one of the things that I like to do is I like to speak from the heart because, for a great length of my career, I spoke from my mind and I created a lot of breakthroughs and I created a lot of successes. But I think at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather have success come to you versus you always having to chase it? And if you take a look at a man like me that's been in the industry now, for well over 20 years and sold real estate in 2 different marketplaces and been on over 30,000 coaching calls with some of the country's finest agents, there is, without the ego, there's a lot of knowledge here. There's a lot of strategy here, knowledge and strategy that a lot of people would pay a lot of money to access. But I'm going to tell you, it's not just about what's up here. It's not. You could fill this up all you want, okay? But where you're really going to have magic and abundance visit you is when you connect this to this.
Love that.
Okay.
I love that.
Some people have the heart, some people have the mind, but he or she that has both connected is he or she that's serving more people and making a big impact. And of course, the income will come as a result of the impact that you're making.
And I think too, that leads right into my first question for you, Chadi, because a lot of people don't connect this without some struggle, right? So tell me about your early days of your journey. What did you struggle with the most and how did you overcome that?
I think the biggest struggle, the income is the struggle, in the beginning, but the income is a struggle because you're really struggling with something else that you may be unaware of beyond your conscious awareness. See, there's a big difference between knowing that you can make it and believing that you can make it. And there's a lot of people that will tell you that knowing is more important than the believing. But from my experience, I knew I could be, a mega, producer, etc. But I really didn't believe that I can. I did not believe in me. So I think the biggest struggle I had was just believing that I am capable of doing the things that I want to do, believing that I can actually accomplish, taking listings and selling buyers and becoming a top listing agent and then having that confidence and all that good stuff. That's been my biggest struggle.
Oh, I think it's a struggle for a lot of people. So then the next question would be, like, how did you overcome that?
Okay. That's the $1 million question.
It is.
You got to give me $1 million to give you the answer.
I might just do it.
I love that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna break this down to what worked for me and what's worked for the majority of the people that I worked with. It become a part of what they do each and every single day, because at the end of the day, it's all about how you feel, and your belief dictates your emotions. So what I did is, when I started to surround myself with big thinkers and people, mentors, and people that I wanted to be like, etc., I seen a pattern in these people. And the pattern is, at that time, they all had a morning routine. And I'm not going to tell you to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. I don't care what time you wake up, as long as you do the things that give you power for each and every single day. But it wasn't just about them going to the gym and all that good stuff. It was about really accessing their mind. It was really like controlling their mind. And they told me at that time that they begin their day by lying to themselves, tricking themselves into believing that which they currently do not believe, that if they actually can get themselves to believe, it will make their journey to success, faster. Reaching that destination becomes way faster. So they introduced me to a concept called affirmations, which is something that a lot of people are familiar with the term, but a lot of people don't do affirmations, or they think that they don't do affirmations, when in reality, they're affirming their experience all day, every single day. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I don't feel like getting out of bed, you just affirmed a negative emotion associated to getting out of bed. Or what a lousy client, or what a lousy day, etc. That's an affirmation in itself. And that's not going to go away 100%. But when you flip the switch and you start doing affirmations on purpose, you have way less negative self-talk and way more positive self-talk, moving you into the right emotion, into the right state, into the right action, into the right result. So we created a journaling process, and it takes approximately 5 minutes every single day. And I'm going to challenge your audience right now to make a bold commitment to do, you like that? Bold commitment.
I do. I do.
Okay, so bold commitment to follow this structure 5 days a week for the next 30 days. And I promise you, I challenge you, call me on this. If you don't, within 30 days, wake up feeling better, thinking bigger, and believing in yourself. And it's a quick journaling process. And it's not like, the diary of a teenager kind of thing. It's very structured. Can I walk everyone through the framework?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay.
And listen, before you do this, I'm going to accept your challenge.
I love it. I love it. We got a gentleman in our top listing agent Facebook group that's taken on that journey. And some of you guys can go back and visit the podcast. We did an interview with him, I think, in September of 2017, where he only at that time had $3.16 in his bank account. I took him on as a coaching client anyways with no money. And he paid me back later on when he made the money. And we took him from $3.16 to 6 figures in the first 1 year. And when I asked him what was the difference that made the difference, it's exactly what I'm about to share with you right now. As a matter of fact, if you go in that group and you click on media, you will see him doing this journaling process, taking a picture of it and posting it in there, and never missed not even one day, not a Christmas, not a holiday, not a sick day. Every single day you'll see his post in there, because he said, this changed my life and I don't want to stop doing it. So here's the 5 steps. Step number 1, you're going to answer the following question. And the question is, what is one thing that made me happy in the last 24 hours? What's one thing that made me happy in the last 24 hours? See, what you're doing in that moment is you're taking ownership of your mind before your mind takes over you. And you're shifting your mind into the conversation of like, there's happiness in my life. Now, the beauty of doing this for the next 30 days from now, you may be feeling whatever you're feeling, or anytime you're feeling something, you can just grab your journal and flip through it. You're like, oh, this made me happy. This made me happy. You got 30 plus things that made you happy in the last 30 days. And it's like, what are you complaining about? Because here's the thing. We don't usually take inventory of our wins, but we do take inventory of our losses. Now we're taking inventory of our wins. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to answer this question. What are 2 things I'm grateful for? Yeah, and I know everybody's heard this gratitude list and stuff like that. Now we're going to challenge you a little bit differently here. And what we're going to say is, you're not allowed to be grateful for the same thing twice in 1 month, because we need to move you away from the norm. The norm is what got you to be where you're at. You need to break the norm. So, for example, let's say my neighbor is making noise and it kept me up at nighttime. I'm grateful that my neighbor kept me up last night. Why am I grateful for that? Because I could hear. Because I could hear. See, when you start challenging your mind to think a little bit differently, again, you start feeling differently, acting differently, and then your results begin to be different. Number 3, top 3 goals. And I'm not talking about like one day you want to be a mega millionaire or something like that. What are, like, if you do goal setting the correct way, you got to have a timeline, for your goals. What are the next 3 goals? I want you to write down the same goals every single day until they become a reality. Why do we want to do that? For Brian Tracy fans out there, Brian Tracy said that the moment that you commit your goal to writing is the moment that you increase your odds of achieving that goal by 1,000%. So you're increasing your odds of achieving that goal by 1,000% every single day. Not only that, by doing that, you remove the filters that are robbing you from seeing the opportunities that exist around you, even your goals, and you're activating your reticular activating system to be able to see these opportunities that are coming to you, and you just can't see them. Number 4, you're going to write down 4 affirmations, and you're going to write down the same 4 affirmations every single day. I don't want it to be just like, a sexy word that just like sounds good. I want it to be something that's going to make you feel good. And I want it to be real for you. So I want you to think to yourself, what is it that I don't believe to be true that if I actually did believe to be true, it would give me more confidence and a better experience through life and success and all that good stuff. And you would write that down every single day until you actually believe it. Because you and I both know at the end of the day, you tell yourself, I'm beautiful. I'm successful. I'm a doer. And then the voice in the back of your mind says, come on, man, who you fooling? You ain't none of that, but here's what we do know. Every liar eventually begins to believe their lies. So I say lie your way to success. And number 5, you're gonna write down your income goal 5 times. And the way that I would recommend that you write it is as follows. Let's say your goal is to earn $100,000 a year. You would write down, I attract and generate $100,000 or more in 2022, etc. Or you can, if you want to do it on a monthly basis, you could say, I attract and generate $20,000 or more this month. And I'm telling you, you do this for 30 days, I promise you, you're going to show up completely different than when you started.
I believe that so much because I learned it. The biggest lesson that I learned of what you just said was writing your goals down. And I always used to make fun of it in a way. It's like, oh, I know it. It's up here. It's all good. I got it. I know what I want to achieve. And until I was looking through this Rubbermaid tub one day, and I came upon this book, and I had written 5 years earlier, I had written down goals that I wanted to achieve. One side of the paper was personal goals, one side was professional goals. And I turned it over and looked, and it said, time to write a book. By that time, I had written 4.
Whoa.
It was an eye opener for me. So I have written down goals ever since that time, because up until then, I was a naysayer. I have to fess up. I was a naysayer. It changed everything for me, really. And now on my wall here behind this computer, I have a dream board. Well, I have already achieved 3 things on the dream board in the last year and replaced them with something else. So it's that manifestation of like not just sitting on the couch thinking about it, right? but really perpetuating that by writing it down, by thinking about it, by actually seeing it come true. I'm a big believer in that and the power of the subconscious mind. So we're kindred spirits here. But I love that because I feel like there are a lot of technical, tactical things you can do as a business person. Go make this many calls a day, send out this many personal note cards, make this many phone calls, and knock on this many doors. And those things are great and they're important. But to me, you have to believe they're going to be important before you do them.
Right. So, you know, I'm going to expand on this a little bit more. And I know you have your agenda, but, you know.
No, my agenda is off the charts now. You
Right.
roll with it.
So, you know, we all have goals and all that good stuff. But I want you to, I'm not going to say let go of the goals that you have right now. I want you to change the priority of your goals right now. And I'm going to tell you exactly what your 2 top goals should be for every single day. And they should be the same exact 2 goals 7 days a week for the rest of your life. If you want more success, then you got to take on these goals. Goal number 1 is to feel good. That's goal number 1. It's to feel good. And then when you accomplish goal number 1, I want you to immediately go after goal number 2. And that is to feel even better. Feel
I love it.
better. See, my dad told me a very long time ago, the key to success has nothing to do with what you do. The key to success has everything to do with how you are feeling while you are in the doing of it. So 2 people in your office calling on the same leads, same amount of contacts, same exact everything. One is in a state of feeling good and one is like, just regular, just another day. Who's more likely to create a better result? It's he or she that is feeling good. So I just give you
every time. Every time. I love it. I love it. And I pulled that quote from you because we did our homework. So I saw that quote from you and I thought that's really, really powerful. I've never heard it put that way at all. So I was very impressed by that. So now you can go off script as much as you want. So if you have more to share, go ahead. And if not, I'll ask you a few more questions.
I want to talk about the script since you said the script.
Okay, do it.
So, you know, there's a lot of people that are too attached to scripts and dialogues in this industry. And you can go download, you know, every guru has a script book and all that good stuff. And my company decided to not share scripts and dialogues online with anyone. And there's a reason for that. Because I believe they hurt more people than they do help the people, because there's a lot of psychology in the script. And, you know, when we are talking to people, we're talking to people that have different personalities, different backgrounds, different behavior patterns, different psychological triggers. And what we got to do is we just got to authentically speak to people. And we just got to learn the framework, not the script. The biggest complaint I get from agents all over the country is the scripts don't feel right. I feel like a robot. And that's why in my company, what we do is we help you. We have a segment called Dream Scripts. We help you write the scripts that feel right for you using a specific psychological framework to get your point across in a good way that serves the customer and not your bank account. So just wanted to share that.
I love that. And let me tell you where that came into play for us. We hear people all the time say, well, marketing doesn't work. Marketing doesn't work. And I think, goodness, yes, it does. Or this particular platform doesn't work, or this particular coach is not good, or whatever that is. And we tell them, you know what? You're blaming the coaches, the trainers, and the platforms when you really should be looking at your own story. You should be looking at how you're injecting your story, your personality, your intention, your genuineness into what you do every day. Because you're just using these scripts over here that have been written by somebody else, and it's formulaic and the framework is fine, but inject your own personality and goals and connection in that particular script. Because if you continue to adapt to somebody else's script, guess what? You're going to be living somebody else's life, and not the one that you want.
If you use a canned presentation, the canned presentation is only going to work on one personality type. And that's why you're not going to win all the time. See, I think as a salesperson, your greatest asset is flexibility. Flexibility meaning being able to alter, shift, and change your way of being, your presentation, your style, your words, etc., to accommodate the person in front of you, so you can make it a no-brainer that who you are is the obvious choice if you are the right choice.
Absolutely. So you say flexibility, I say adaptability, and those two are equal. It's the exact same thing. I've said for years, the greatest sales people in the world are those that are most adaptable or flexible to whoever's sitting in front of them, to making people feel like they're right at home, that they are empathetic, that they understand them, that they're listening, right? And that's a big part of adaptability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I keep on interrupting you because
I'm loving it. You just keep going.
So I would say, for our real estate audience, yeah, it's important to really understand the strategies to generate, leads, and, to have your marketing in place and to have your branding in place. I mean, it's, we're going into 2022, and if you really don't have a brand, then you're really like back in the days, they used to say, in 10 years from now, if you're not on the internet, you're going to be out of business. Say, if you're not branded, it is going to negatively impact your business. So branding is critically important. And at the same time, your branding online is going to do all the talking and selling and positioning for you and all that good stuff. And then you got to be able to back it up with being able to communicate, effectively to the people that your branding is bringing to you. So on a tactical level, my best advice for you is to study the art of communication, because at the end of the day, that's all you're doing is communicate. You're in conversations with buyers, sellers, lenders, other agents, and negotiating with people all day and every single day. So he or she that can communicate better is he or she that's going to be able to get their point across and be able to do a lot more business. So when you tie branding and you tie communication together, it's a brand new business. Game over.
It surely is. It surely is. And that gives you the ability to market effectively. And marketing is nothing more than communicating via different marketing platforms. But your message and image, we like to say the difference between branding and marketing. Your marketing is getting a message out there via different marketing vehicles or platforms, but your brand is the message and image that you're putting out there on those platforms.
Right.
So that's what's going to separate you from everybody else. So I do have one question for you here. What do you think, what would you say is the number one thing you're known for as a result of your own personal brand?
Top listing agents.
Exactly.
Top listing agents, yeah. Now, I mean, that's in as little words as possible, we help agents, okay, become top listing agents.
It's that simple. Right.
Now, I have a woman now let me tell you what happens when you become a top listing agent. Like, I got a woman I'm working with right now, and I think she's on track to do about 100 transactions this year. And last month, she was the top listing agent, and she was the top sales agent and closing agent.
Oh, wow.
So do you see what happens? The trickle effect,
Yes.
like your listings become, part of like the brand and the messaging and everything that goes out there and gets you buyers and all that good stuff and gets you other listings and all that good stuff. So a lot of people, what they do is they just focus on buyers, and there's nothing wrong with buyers. We need buyers agents to sell our listings. Thank you.
True.
But we say work sellers on purpose, buyers by default.
Never heard it like that either. I love it. I love it. And it, like you said, the success of being a top listing agent and being the best closer and having the most sales, that's part of the whole ecosystem of people like to do business with other people that are successful. And you don't have to necessarily put your accomplishments everywhere and boast about them all day long. You can tuck them here or there. You want to be acknowledged for those things because you've earned those things. Yeah. It's part of that whole ecosystem of the brand. And I think, and I want to ask you this too, since you help people become highly successful, top listing agents. Do you find that some of them are hesitant to say I'm a top listing agent, or most of the people you work with really confident and they're just like, I'm just going to put it out there everywhere?
No, the majority of the people that come to work with me, they come to me with like barely anything. And a lot of times they come to work with me on one thing and we end up working on something completely different to get them to become that one thing. I'll give you an example. I got a woman that I work with that I'm very proud of right now. Her name is Donna. And Donna, when she came to me, she really couldn't, like, she had the mentality of like, I can't take listings. I can't take listings. I'm very good with buyers. I'm very good with buyers, but I want to become a listing agent. I want to become a listing agent. And she's like, people love me. People love my personality. And every time I go on a listing appointment, they tell me they love me, but they don't do business with me. Okay. So what we did with her is we just worked with her, and it's a quick fix. It's not a long-term fix. We worked with her on the psyche first to get her to believe that who she is someone that's destined to become a top listing agent. Because, top listing agents don't just take listings, they serve people, they serve the community, they protect the sellers, and, all that good stuff. And we developed a very good listing presentation based on her personality and selling style. And in the last 40 days, she's taken more listings than she did all year.
Oh, fantastic. You should be proud of her. Donna, you should be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. What do you find is the most common obstacle when people come to you? Like, what is the thing that if somebody says, what's blocking your success, right? What do you find? And there may be several, but.
It's two things. It's always the same two things. It's either one or two for most people. Okay, for most people, it's both things. One of them we've already covered. It's belief. Number two, it's the sales skills. Because everybody's always asking me the question. Like, everybody's so focused on like, how do I handle this objection? What if a seller says this? What if a buyer says that? What if this and what if that? Like, they're so focused on that. And there's the wrong place to focus, because objections is the last thing you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is, number one, how do I create connections with people? How do I create a connection with people? How do I build rapport? How do I get people to like me? How do I get people to trust me? How do I get people to see me as the expert? How do I get people to see me as the person of authority? That's the number one thing you need to be focused on. Because if you can do that, then guess what? They are going to answer, they're going to open up and answer all your questions. Okay. Now that would become the qualifying process. And now you better understand that individual, where they're at, where they're trying to get to. And then your presentation now revolves not about marketing and all that, stuff. It revolves around, here's where you're at, and this is what we're going to do to get you right here. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, wow, you're going to get me there. How do I work with you? So you don't need to close that person. And then there's no objections. So a lot of people got the framework backwards. So I would say, number one, you got to believe. You got to believe. And number two, you got to master the sales process.
I love that too. My greatest sales training came from a branch manager of a vacuum cleaner store. So I sold vacuum cleaners door to door as I made my way through college. I did that for 3 years. And the gentleman's name is W.T. Howell. He's since passed, but he was the greatest sales trainer I ever had. He said, your story, as you're going through your presentation and presenting your story, go ahead and answer all the objections. Because if you do that, then you don't have any questions to answer on the back end. And one of the other things he taught me that has always stuck with me is no just means I don't know enough. And I thought that was brilliant. That was brilliant. So guys, this advice that Chadi is giving you is spot on. And I wish everybody in the industry did this, because if they did, we wouldn't have anybody that would be in a state of what's a word I'm looking for, in a state of poverty of the mind, right? We wouldn't have anybody there. Everybody would be abundant in the mind. And I think I know that's where it all starts. So tell me a little bit about like if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that? And if you want to talk just a moment about, any particular coaching or programs that you offer, please do so.
Yeah. So I'll begin by saying that, we are in the business of serving. Therefore, we have absolutely nothing for you to buy today or ever. Okay. What we like to begin a relationship with everybody. And then based on that relationship, if we are a fit, then you would raise your hand and say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about how you could help me? And then we invite you to have a conversation. And if it makes a fit, we invite you into our program. And if not, we still serve you, love you, and help you no matter what. So the best place for us to begin that relationship would be by joining our top listing agent group, where every single Monday I go in live and answer questions and do a training. Like today, we're doing a training on the journey to building a top listing agent. Okay. And you can do that by simply toplistingagentgroup.com. Toplistingagentgroup.com would be a perfect place to join us. There's nothing there for sale, and you'll get a lot of value.
We'll put that in the comments, guys. Make sure to check it out, toplistingagentgroup.com. Okay, so any final words of wisdom, Chadi?
Final words of wisdom. Okay. I mean, we covered a lot today.
We sure did. We did.
If I could have a conversation real quickly to just wrap this up, I have a 24-year-old son, okay? And the conversation most recently for the last 1 year has been revolved around, should anything happen to daddy, there's only one skill that he wants you to master so you can have anything and everything you want in life, okay? And that is the skill of influence. Skill of influence. Learning the art of communication, because if I can leave him with that, then I can leave him in a place to where he can be dropped off anywhere in the world. And because he's so effective at getting people to like him, trust him, and feel good in his presence, then he would be able to write his own ticket to freedom. And final thought, 2 words: personal responsibility. You watching this video, you listening to this audio program or podcast or wherever you listen to it at, you're in a good place in life. It's your responsibility that led you to that place. You're not where you want to be in life. Personal responsibility. You can turn it around a lot faster than you think. And it's not as difficult as you have been making it out to be. The difficult thing for most people is accepting personal responsibility and then following that with a bold commitment.
I love it. What a way to wrap up. Chadi, thank you so much for spending time with us. I love this. And I know, without even asking Michael, I know probably the first thing he's going to ask me when he hears this interview is, can we have him back again?
Anytime.
We would love that. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And guys, I'm going to take over Michael's role in ending the podcast today. And Michael talks about how we remind people all the time that prosperity favors the bold, but we're not talking about just money. We're talking about the 360 of an abundant life. So we say prosperity favors the bold. So be bold, especially with your brand. Thank you, Chadi. And guys, we'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding. Thrive Real Estate Education is a proud sponsor of Be Bold Branding. Thrive is the only online free continuing education school in the country. To find out if they're participating in your home state, go to alwaysfreece.com. All courses are approved and certified by the Real Estate Commission.